Okay, so you have developed your application, works fine on your local development environment, but when you try to deploy it on your server, it doesn't work either, or you face a lot of trouble installing all the things like Apache, Nginx, MySQL, or whatever the application is using. So I will tell you how to avoid this and deploy your application within a few steps. Okay. So we will deploy a sample application, uh, a sample PHP application that is using a uh, Symfony framework. So this is an application, and we're gonna deploy on Elastic Beanstalk. So uh, this is the Mautic. Mautic is used for marketing automation. Okay, so uh, let's do the deployment. Okay, I have cloned this repo in my, you know, cloned this to my local machine, and now what I'm going to do is to create an application. So first I have to write the name. Okay, so Mautic. So you have to write this, or this is optional. Okay, so this is creating an application. So an application has a lot of environments. Okay, so there are a lot of environments. For example, if you have a development environment and another environment which is used for production, you can make two separate environments over here. So this is really really good thing about uh, Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, so we are gonna do create a new environment. Okay, we want to deploy web server environment. Okay, so we have a web application. So so this one has Mautic env name already suggested. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you change this to anything else. So you have to make sure that it's available. Okay, so that is available. Okay, so now I have to tell it that this is a PHP application. Okay, and now if you have an application uh, present somewhere on the server, or deployed to S3, or you want to upload it through zip, you can upload it through zip file which you have downloaded from, like here. But I will tell you another way. Okay, so we will use CLI, command line interface. Okay, so that is a better way if we developers deploy the application. Okay, so instead of creating the environment from here, I will just go back. Okay, and I will create an environment over here. Okay, so once you have installed AWS command line interface, you will have this EB command available. Okay, so how to install that AWS CLI, you can check the documentation for that, but let's create an environment. EB create. Okay, so the environment name can be Mautic env. Okay, so I'm gonna name it dev, Mautic dev. So this one environment is you know I'm gonna use it for development, and other will be used for production. So that will create an environment. Okay, so this says that the directory has not set up with EB client. Okay, so like if you have to set the git inside a directory, what you do is git init. You initialize git inside that. So I have to initialize EB inside that. EB init. Okay, so it's asking me what is your default region. So basically uh, the steps you have to do through the credentials, I will make a separate video how to configure AWS command line interface. Okay, so for now let's use US West 2. My default environment is US West 2. Okay, so US West 2, the option for that is 3. Okay, Oregon. Okay, select an application to use, deployed or to create a new application. No, I have to use an application. uh, what was the name for that? Mautic. So why it isn't okay, I think I have in the credentials of another AWS account, so I'm pausing this video for now, and I will configure that for this tutorial and resume. Okay, so I have modified the config file inside my home folder, home.aws folder. Okay, so now it will show the application already created by us through the GUI. Okay, so if I EB init, it will show me the correct options. Okay, so we are going to use 3 US West 2. Okay, so this one shows um, the first application Mautic, and the second one can be, we can create a new application. So we can do everything from the command line. Okay, so instead of doing this from here, we can do this from here too. So we have to, I will do this by creating a new application from here, so that we have a complete introduction to how to deploy this from command line interface. Okay, so 2, and the default name it suggested is the Mautic 2. Okay, so if I notice it over here, okay, let me see what it, yes, it detects the application to be the PHP application. Okay, what version it is going to use? I'm selecting 3 because I have seen this works better on PHP 7.0. Okay, so you can choose any option, that is up to you. Okay, so cannot set up code commit because there is no source control setup. Okay, we will skip this for now. I will cover this in the next tutorials for sure, but for now we will skip this. Okay, we will select N. Okay, so now if we see over here, the Mautic 2 application is already created. Okay, so now I will EB create Mautic dev environment. Okay, so first it's archiving the application into a zip or yes, it should be zip file. So what will you notice over here? It will create dot elastic beanstalk folder. Okay, inside that you will have all the configurations stored in this config.yml file. Okay, so this one, the app version will be placed over here. Okay, so this version is already created and now it's uploading the version to the server. Okay, so there are some configurations to be done to the uh, environment. So we can like we have to attach a database DB instance an RDS instance to our environment. So we can do this from our you know this environment on from the GUI. Okay, so these options can also be configured uh, through the command line interface. But what I do usually is I configure this from over here. Okay, so the environment, once it's created, will be listed over here. Okay, I think I should resume this then when it's 100% done. Okay. Okay, so we have this done out, and now it is you know creating the environment over here that should be listed over here. Okay, if I refresh it, that should be listed over here. Okay, so this is gray, that means there is something being done over there. Okay, so if everything is fine over here, the environment will be inside the green box. Okay, so this takes a few seconds uh, depending on your internet speed or you know whatever. Okay, I think I should continue this when this is done. Okay, so that has successfully launched the environment. Okay, so once you have the application deployed, you can read the log from here. Okay, so what it does, it assigns the security group. That is all, all the manual steps we do while creating an EC2 instance. Okay, so that's all done automatically over here, creating the load balancer, security group name, auto scaling group, and then it creates EC2 instances. So and after that creating the CloudWatch alarms and all that stuff. Okay, that's done. Let's see, it should be green. Okay, so it should be green. I shouldn't have refreshed this, but let's see how it is done. So that should not be working because we don't have the database attached over here. Okay, that is showing totally blank. Okay, so I will now open this inside my code editor and configure a few things. So I will go to configuration. Okay, so over here you see the software. Inside software there is document root and zlib output compression and all other settings necessary for your application. Okay, we will not cover this in this tutorial. Okay, we will create an RDS instance for that. So let's do that. I will cancel it from here, and over here you see this capacity. Okay, so how many instances it should scale up to maximum and minimum. Okay, so I want minimum 1 instances for that, and I want to scale it up to 2 instances because I don't have that much traffic right now. Okay, so you see all this stuff is done automatically from here. Okay, I will apply it. So from the configuration, okay, one thing you have to take care of is you have to click on the continue with the settings, because that will again take some time to update that environment with the settings you just made. So let's go to database. Okay, fetching an RDS environment. Okay. Snapshot. I don't have a snapshot right now for the database, so that will be created. A blank database will be created for now. Okay, so EB user and the password should be anything. Okay, create snapshot while while retention. To save a snapshot of the database prior to termination, so that will snapshot all the database when you have when you are destroying that environment. Okay, so now there is already one configuration being applied, that's why we cannot see this button enabled. Okay, let's see how this. Okay, I think the configuration is done. The previous configuration, that was a maximum 2 instances, and now I will go for the database. Okay, so I will create a MySQL RDS instance. Okay, so I can easily select the version from here too, and the username can be anything. So let's first configure our application for the database. Okay, So inside app config there is a config.php. Okay, that should be inside the config.php. No, that is not inside config.php. That should be on inside the local.php or something like that. Let's see what is db. Well, I haven't worked on Mautic before. I just had deployed a Mautic, a modified version of Mautic for my client recently. So let's find where the database is. Database configuration should be inside the config dev and config prod. Security local.php routing dev. Okay, I think that should be inside a .env file. Okay, so here it is. I will rename it and to .env, and this should be the db host which is created over here. So for now I will place the username and password over here. Okay, so password can be anything. Okay, so I will copy this from here and this from here. Well, there is a standard for username, so I think the username is usually like ebdb. Yes, I think like that. So we will do this like this ebdb. So you can see the documentation as well for the PHP sample PHP application and all that stuff. Okay, so now the password is there. Password is, once again, let me copy this and paste it over here. Okay, oh, okay, so let's apply it. So we can see the events over here. That takes some time, creating the RDS instance. So I will pause the video for now and resume it um, back later. Okay, it is still creating the RDS instance, but let's see what is being done with the RDS right now. So I will go to RDS. So this whole thing is really annoying, you know. You keep on waiting for this. Okay, but that, you know, is really a good thing, because that is all you will be doing manually. when deploying this on an EC2 instance or whatever. So you just have to wait and go for an other thing, like doing something else. Okay, on instances I will see this has already created an instance, and now it is backing up. So once that is created, this events log, you know this whole process will be done over here. Okay, so let me wait for that and pause the video and resume it back later. Okay, so that is this RDS instance is available right now, and this should go away. Seriously, man, this you know really irritates me. Okay, so now we have all the things set up over here. Okay, so now we will copy the RDS instance URL from here, either here or here. I will prefer it doing it from here, because when you have a lot of RDS instances over here, then it is hard uh, to identify which one is for this environment. Okay, so if you click on that, that will move you uh, that will take you to that particular instance. So I don't want to go there. I just want to copy this endpoint. Okay, I will copy it, and over here on db host I will paste it and remove all this stuff. Okay, so URL is ready, port is ready, db name. Okay, what is the db name? DB name should be here. Okay, so you should have you should be clicking on this anyway. Okay, so we will copy the name of database instance. So where the hell it has gone? Okay, username is ebdb, db name should be ebdb. Okay, so that is done. Mautic table prefix. Environment, it is test. No, it should be production or dev. Okay, let's keep it for keep it test for now. Okay, and then deploy it. URL is ready, password, db name, everything ready. So now what we will do is eb deploy. Okay, so this will deploy the things over there. Okay, so what I think is now it should not work, because there are few things to be done, like when you deploy it manually, you always do the file permissions and all that stuff. So we have to do this inside inside a script. So I will prepare the script over here. Okay, So let's uh, do that while this is being done. Okay, let's see what happens uh, after our first deployment. Okay, I will pause this and resume it back then. Okay, so I'm back. So now you can see that was deployed, you know, very soon. Because all that, in creating the environment and creating instances, all that stuff is done, first time when you deploy it, okay, or create the environment. Okay, so now let's see how it works. It didn't work. Okay, so we will see what's the problem. Okay, so let's see what instances are attached to this environment. Okay, so what I will do is I will go to the instances and over here I have the information for that. Okay, that should be also available inside my EC2 panel. So I will SSH inside this instance and see how, you know what is written to the logs. Okay, we can do this from here as well. Okay, so request last 100 lines, download. Okay, so shutting down. Okay, PHP warning, require var app current app failed to open stream, no such file or directory in autoload.php. Okay, so this seems to be permission issue. Okay, so now we have to solve this. For that I have to make the configuration for that. Okay, so if you see the documentation for Elastic Beanstalk, PHP application, you will see some configuration file. Okay, deploying a Symfony application to Elastic Beanstalk. So I will create a folder .eb extensions, okay, and a config file. Okay, so that is I guess done also with eb config command. I think that should be done doing this. Okay, no, that is for the configuration you have done through the GUI. So what I will do is I will create a folder eb extensions and a config file. Okay, so touch, and I will name it not composer.config, rather it will be project.config. You can name it whatever you want, but you have to take care that no, okay, I have to create a directory .ab extensions. Okay, so from here I will write the necessary commands to be run while deploying the application. Okay, so uh, there are, this has to follow the standard YAML format, YAML. Okay, so there are some commands to be run inside the container, and there are some uh, commands to be run after the deployment, the post deployment commands. Okay, so everything you have to write over here, so that the order of the commands and execution all goes in through the alphabetic order, and the numeric one goes to first. So the order is 0 to 9 and A to Z. So uh, over here I will write a command. Okay, command, and that should be var app current app app current. Okay, so let me check the necessary docs from the Mautic application, which directories have to be modified with what kind of permissions, and I will prepare this script, and we will continue from here then. Okay, so I have googled this and copied the code and pasted over here. Okay, and that's not really like that. Basically, I have I had a previous project of deployment this kind of app, so I have copied the settings for of that you know repository from there, and pasted over here. So first of all, uh, this should be run, you know the packages which are necessary to be installed are PHP 7.0, PHP 7.0 zip, and PHP 7.0 IMAP. Okay, so that will do sudo yum install PHP 7.0 dash zip. Okay, so there is if there is any other package to be installed, I will write it over here, and inside the commands I have this thing I will cover later. Okay, this thing has to be covered later, so I will remove it from here, and I will keep the container commands. So you see I have prefixed it with a number, so that it is run on the first um, you know and that has a priority above all the things. So you can do it like 00 IO permissions. So what it has to do is sudo su when change to the super user. Okay, and after that it will change to the directory OnDeck, and find all the files which are type of directory and execute 755 permission on that. And the next command is assigning 644 permission to all the other files, not folders but files. Okay, and then it will clear the cache. Okay, so from here I have to assign the production environment over here as well, or I have to do test over here. So now what it has to do is to chmod app cache folder, chmod app logs, configs, media files, translations, and then it has to chown web app to the current directory, like the directory which has all the files for the application. So they are to be owned by the web app user. So web app user is similar to the HTTPD user. I think it's HTTPD, or on Apache, on Ubuntu it is I think Apache 2. Yes. Okay, so whatever it is, we will then assign 777 permission to the app cache folder, and then assign this to the media volume 1, so that this stuff can also be done in a single line. Okay, there is no need to do this on multiple lines. I will copy and paste over here. Okay, so now this is all in a single line. Okay, so we have moved inside the OnDeck directory. The OnDeck directory is the directory when the application is being deployed. Okay, so that directory is then renamed, or you may think like that directory is moved to another directory called current. So when you SSH inside your instance, you will see var app current directory, not on deck. Okay, so this is like this. Okay, and then while running the command, if I want to ignore the errors, that should be true or false, crons file, create crons file. Okay, so the name of this thing can be anything. Create IO permissions, and this one has create crons file 01. Okay, and remove old cron. Okay, so basically the app has requirement for this kind of file, or the cron job to be run when you have to install it. So I'm not covering the application part. I'm covering how to deploy it. So the file which is gonna be created after the deployment is done is this one. Okay, not after the deployment but during the deployment. Okay, so uh, etc cron.d micron, okay, and owner and group should be root. Okay, so now we will deploy it and let's see how it goes. So I will deploy it now, and let's resume it when this is done. Okay, I had something wrong from here. I didn't remove this thing. So basically what was that, actually, you know, when this application is deployed to an EC2 instance, it creates a folder called Spool. Inside that Spool folder, the emails are collected. I think the emails are collected. So the client told me that he wants a separate drive for that. Okay, so I wrote all that for attaching the separate device. Okay, so how we will attach that, we will cover it later. Okay, so let's see what goes with the current deployment. Okay, so uh, I will see what's going on over here. So the health status is info, and because it is still doing some things, like creating auto scaling launch configuration. Okay, so we shouldn't have done this thing, so I have to deploy it again after removing it. Okay, okay, so as I said, that I will cover all those issues which we can face and during the deployment. So you can see that one single misconfiguration led me to this thing. It's stuck over here, and it will show info for the next half an hour, and I will have to wait for that. So to avoid this, what you have to do is to abort this operation. Okay, so when I abort this operation, that will again uh, take so long to abort the current operation. Okay, so this thing gets stuck when you do something wrong. Okay, so updating auto scaling group named blah 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 failed reason resource update cancelled. Okay, because I cancelled that right now. So let's see what's going on. It has updated the status to health, status to info again, and that info will go around for the next 24 or no. Okay, so over here you see this has finished the previous deployment, you know, that deployment was cancelled. So what I have to do is to uh, change the deployment to the previous one. So I will do this from uh, here, I think. No, that should be tags, logs, monitoring, alarms. Okay, anyways, you have to uh, okay, rolling and deployments, rolling updates and deployments over here. Mautic 2 environments. Okay, application versions. Over here I have the previous version. I will deploy this. Okay, Mautic dev, so that should be green again once I go to the events page, and that should be green within a few minutes. Let's pause this and continue later. Okay, so the deployment is completed successfully, and now I will deploy this application again after I have removed that code which was creating the problem for us. Okay, so let's deploy it. Let's wait for it and continue later. Hey, I'm back, and it's still going on. So let's see what happens for the next few minutes. I'm going back. Okay, so there was still some misconfiguration inside this configuration script, which hanged this forever, and you can see this uh, is degraded. So what happens is it shows that performing application update running for 18 minutes. Okay, so the expected version, blah blah blah, deployment 5, incorrect application version. Okay, so let's see what the logs say, or events. Okay, let's see what the events say. Unsuccessful command execution on instance IDs. Okay, so what I think is the problem is that I'm running this script while doing sudo su. I mean, while changing the user to the super user. Okay, so due to some security parameters, and there should be some sort of thing implemented so that no one can change to the sudo su I mean, to the super user when deploying the application, and can you know do something wrong with your application. So let's fix this. Instead of running all these commands over here, what I will do is I will create a post deployment script over here. Okay, so I will create the post deployment script over here, copied from my previous project. Okay, so you can see this 99 change permissions dot sh. So that means I want it to be done when everything is done. Okay, so the order is kept 99. So I will copy this file and create this file anyway. If there isn't this file, that will again you know create an error, and the script will hang forever. So this has to create this file, in the post deployment hooks, opt elastic beanstalk hook app deploy post. Okay, and inside that script we have put this all these commands. So I will remove this extra drive from there, and now deploy this. So one thing which creates a problem uh, while I was deploying this previously, uh, that is I was changing the ownership to the root. Okay, so that doesn't work. Okay, so you have to change the user to EC2 user. So what happened is when I SSH into the instance, and I see all those permissions were correct, but my application was not working anyway. Okay, so I have changed ownership to EC2 user. Well, let's do it over here as well. Okay, so when you SSH inside your instance, your username is always EC2 user. Okay, so now everything is good to go. Let's try deploying it now. So before that, I will deploy the correct version, which was working fine, so that my next deployment doesn't hang forever. So I will deploy it. And go to the events page. So basically the purpose of this tutorial was not to let you know how to deploy an application to the Elastic Beanstalk. There are several tutorials on this topic, but what the problems we face during deployment, like we faced these kind of problems. uh, we had a few minutes before, so these kind of problems are not covered anywhere. Okay, so I wanted to cover all those problems and solutions to those problems. So once the health status is okay, I think it's green. It should be okay. Should be okay within a few minutes. Okay, so this is updating the environment for the last, I don't know how many minutes that has been passed, but this really sucks. You know, it takes a lot of time. So one solution to this, as far as I have read this on, some of the Stack Overflow questions. So that is to click on the instance and reboot or terminate the instance. You won't terminate it if that is on the production uh, uh, version, and that has been collecting data for the last 1 month. Okay, so let's try rebooting it. Let's see what happens. And that instance should be here, Mautic dev. Okay, this instance was another instance created, but that was terminated when I deployed the next version. So this takes a lot of time. Environment health has transitioned from degraded to info. Oh. Okay, that didn't do the trick. So what I will do right now is I will terminate this instance. Okay, once that instance is terminated, let's see it is terminating from here or not. So if that is terminated, then that should be okay. Shutting down, okay, and it should create another instance when this instance is terminated. So this you can notice inside the elastic Beanstalk. So what it does is it all automates the things for us. So that is terminated, and let's see another instance is created for us or not. So over here, let's see. Okay, that instance is the one I terminated. Why it is showing me this one was the instance. What's the ID? E2 0 E2 0 E2. Okay, let's refresh it. Okay, So now uh, let's wait for it to create another instance for us, and that will do it automatically for us. Okay, so you notice over here this Mautic dev instance is being initialized. Okay, so the health has transitioned to the warning causes. Severe. And we noticed that the process which was going on over here has stopped, and now it is okay. So let's deploy it from here. Here everything is okay right now. Nothing is there that should create the problem. So now let's do it. Okay, eb deploy. Let's wait for it and we will continue then. Okay, so this deployment was not successful. Okay, but now we are clear that why it didn't succeed. So command failed on instance, return code 1 output truncated, autoload.php on line 15, app cache, app logs, app cache. Okay, we have to create these folders, but I think since this was directly cloned from the GitHub repo, so we didn't do the composer install. Okay, here, so the vendor directory is empty. So if composer packages are installed properly, all the things will go you know right. So loading composer repositories with packages information, and it couldn't install Guzzle. Okay, Guzzle was not installed properly, and and to enable extension, verify that you that they are enabled in your .ini extensions. I think let's install composer, install Guzzle. Uh, uh, what's the command for that? Okay, so how I should be installing that? Where the hell it is? Installation was there. Composer. Okay. Okay, do this like this one. Okay, not far. Okay, don't need that. Ghazal HTTP. It is Ghazal HTTP. VCS does not exist. Why? Come on. Okay, file system.php. Okay, that's something wrong with the composer install. Okay, so when you will be doing this completely, um, you will find that cache directory inside the app folder, but we can forcefully create that. And the next fix I am going to do right now, just to you know finish this video, is I will copy the vendor directory from here, copy it and paste it. So this is what actually done when your composer install it. Okay, Mautic, the vendor directory is there, app cache, that should be there. And what is the other directory which filled app logs? Okay, so I will create a cache folder over here and logs folder over here. Okay, so now if I eb deploy, and that should happen right now. If that doesn't happen right now, I will do nothing. Okay, so finally we did it. Finally it has been done, and let's see whether it works or not. And that worked. That's all. You know, that's that's what we needed. So basically the purpose of this video was to show you some of the use cases, some of the things we face during the deployment of any application, during any application to Elastic Beanstalk. So and this is really uh, you know big process uh, when you're stuck and you have no option to create another environment, but uh, you know there are some situations you have to fix this exactly same environment. Okay, so uh, the conclusion is that you never create uh, some sort of uh, execution inside the script which hangs the instance forever, or the deployment forever. So you can see that if there is some sort of a minor error, the deployment doesn't go very well. Okay, so I hope this has taken me too long. And by the way, this was my first video, so let me know how you found it, and what kind of things I need to cover, and what kind of things you you know I should not cover in the videos. Okay, so my name is Fazan Ali, and I was really happy to help you. Thank you. Bye bye.